Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sreetips here. What I have is some 10K gold that I just purchased just now. And what we're going to do, I paid $3,600 for this. And so what we're going to do is try to refine it and get the pure gold out of it. And everybody wants to know, do I make a profit when I do this kind of stuff? So we're going to figure out if we've made a profit by refining this gold. We've got 116.7 grams. Bought gold at $3,030 per ounce. I paid $3,600 for this 10K gold. And I've calculated that I need about 74 grams of sterling. Here I've got 75.6. So we're gonna put this sterling silver in with this 10K gold. We're gonna take it out and quart this gold with sterling silver. Some folks may be asking, why is Sreetips adding silver to the 10K gold if he's trying to purify the 10K gold? And the answer is 10K gold is about 41.7% pure gold. And with that much gold in the alloy, it will shield the silver and the base metals from the nitric acid boils. So what I do is I add additional silver, calculate how much I need, and then I add additional silver, alloy it with the 10K gold, and reduce the amount of gold in that alloy down to around 25%. And then, and only then, will we be able to use the nitric acid boils to completely pull all the silver and all the base metals out of the gold. Now, this is one of the most valuable refining techniques that I've ever learned. It's called Inquartation, where we make an alloy that's 1/4 pure gold, 3/4 silver and base metals. And this does a fantastic job. Once these nitric acid boils are done, it does a fantastic job of pulling all the silver and all the base metals out of it. If we do it right, we can end up with some high purity gold after the nitric acid boils.
I've got the additional silver alloyed so that now we can treat this inquarted gold with nitric acid boils. I'm going to get it out of this water and get it into a beaker and start the nitric acid boils.
Let's get our gold into a beaker. Rinse this out now. Get all the tap water rinsed off of the inquarted gold with some distilled water. And here we go. This is our inquarted gold, ready for our nitric acid boils. Here's our inquarted gold. I'm adding some distilled water. Now I'll add an equal amount of nitric acid. We're just going to set this up on the heat now and let the nitric acid react with the silver and the base metals in there. It'll pull the silver and the base metals out, but it will not touch the gold. The gold will get left behind. So I'm going to set this up on some heat now and just let this react. By alloying additional silver into that 10K gold, we've reduced the gold content in the alloy down to around 25%, so that now the nitric acid will be able to penetrate to the core of each piece of inquarted gold, pull all the silver and all the base metals out, and leave behind the pure gold for further refining. I turned the heat off yesterday evening and I let this cool off completely. If you look down in there, you'll see some crystals have formed in the solution. Those are silver nitrate crystals. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and heat this up a little bit and pour this silver solution off into my silver jar. Okay, the goal here was to dissolve those silver nitrate crystals by adding some heat. The crystals are highly soluble in water, but I didn't want to add any additional liquid to keep my waste production down. I started getting a little bit of water hammer from steam bubbles, so I had to terminate this evolution early. All right, I had to stop the video. Got to turn the camera back on. The water, I'll get some steam bubbles and water hammer in there. So I ceased heating the solution. Now I'm just going to pour this off into my silver jar. Got all the crystals to dissolve. They're highly soluble in water. To this, add a little bit more nitric acid to it. We'll just let that boil and react. Let's go ahead and pour this nitric boil off here, and I'm gonna give it another one. If we do this right, we can get away with doing a single refining on the gold. And what I mean by that is we want to take and get a colorless nitric acid boil. And what that'll do is that'll guarantee us that we've got all the copper and therefore all the silver pulled out of the gold. So I'm going to add some water to this. Just a little bit. I'll add a little bit more nitric acid. Just let this boil. This on boiling now for several hours. And what we'll do now is go ahead and pour off this nitric acid and save it for a future refining, because it's going to still have plenty of active nitric acid in it. I'm going to add the rinse over here into my silver jar. And now I'm going to add some distilled water to our gold and just boil it in some distilled water for a few minutes. I've had this boiling in some distilled water for a little while, and here's our acid from that last nitric acid boil. It's got a little bit of color to it, but I think we're going to be okay with that. It looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is pour off this water. Now we're going to add some hydrochloric acid. This is only about 1.5 ounces of gold, so we're going to go with probably, let's see, about 300 milliliters of hydrochloric acid, up to the 300 milliliter mark. What I'll do now is measure out about 30 milliliters of nitric acid. And what we'll do is put this on time lapse and go ahead and add the nitric acid in, add a little bit of heat, and get this gold to dissolve. Got the gold to dissolve completely, and we've driven off all the excess nitric by evaporating the solution down until all the fumes are gone. So now we'll set it down here and let it cool off. Here's all the junk that's in the filter. Just gonna go ahead and rinse this out now and get all the color rinsed out of this best I can. Take our solution, transfer it into a clean beaker. The solution nice and clear and bright here. What I'm going to do is add some stump out, which is sodium metabisulfite. I'm going to precipitate out the pure gold now. Here we go. First spoon going in. And put another one in there on top of it. And this is spoon number 3. This should do it for us right here. That looks a little bit yellow still. I'm going to get in here with a piece of filter paper. Let's check this, see if we've got all our gold precipitated or not. You can tell by that dark stain, we've still got lots of gold in solution. All right, here we go. I'm going to add some more stump out. See if we can get the rest of this gold to come out of solution. We got it now. That white foam tells me that all the gold is finally precipitated. Reach down in here and get a little bit more of the solution on a piece of filter paper. Make sure we got everything precipitated. There you can tell negative stannous test means all the gold has been precipitated now. This is our pure gold powder, and I've allowed this to settle overnight. You can see it's got a nice clean, clear solution on it. And what I'm going to do, this is my stock pot, and all of my gold refining waste goes into my stock pot. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of copper to this now. Paid $4 for that piece of copper at a yard sale. Copper for refining is very useful, and it's cheap and plentiful. Now what I'll do is add the waste solution from our gold refining right into my stock pot. There could be traces of platinum group metals in this liquid, and this is the first step in the waste treatment process. Putting the gold refining waste into my gold refining stock pot that's full of copper. And what will happen here is any precious metals that are in solution will cement out on the copper that I have in here. All right. This is my temporary waste container, and it's getting full. So what we're going to do is empty the liquid in here into the stock pot, and any precious metals that are in solution will cement out on those pieces of copper in there. Here you can see there's a decent amount of gold in this temporary waste container, and what we'll do one day is get all that out of there and refine it and make a nice bar for ourselves. This is another temporary waste container. As you can see, it's full. It's green because I've been using ferrous sulfate to precipitate out the gold. We're going to dump some of this in our stock pot and try to get this liquid processed. See on the bottom of this 10-liter waste container, there's a layer of gold on the bottom of this container as well. And once we get all this liquid removed out of here and into the stock pot, and what we'll do is we cover that gold out of there and make an ingot. I put this outdoors under a rain cover, and I bubble some air through it to create movement. So we're going to move this out to the outdoor location now, get it out of our way. Stock pot number 2, and what I'll do is just let this settle out in here. It's had air being bubbled through it, so once this settles out, what I'll have is a solution of copper, and all the precious metals will be out of the liquid. And then what I do is I siphon it down here into my waste treatment bucket, and what I do in here is I use pieces of angle iron. What I'll have is just copper in solution, and the copper will cement out on these pieces of angle iron. You can see it starts immediately as soon as I add the angle iron. And then what will happen in here, we won't have copper in solution anymore. We'll just have iron in solution. This is my silver refining stock pot. I keep my silver refining waste separate from my gold refining waste. And so what I do is when I cement some silver out of a silver nitrate solution, once all that silver gets cemented out, I pour the copper nitrate solution in here in case there's any other precious metals left in it, and then I can get the precious metals out on those pieces of copper in there. And what I've done is I've added some of this copper nitrate solution to my waste treatment bucket that's full of iron. Now what I'll do is I'll transfer this outside under my rain cover and bubble some air through it to create movement and cement the copper out of that solution on those pieces of angle iron. Now that I've got some room in my temporary waste container, what we'll do is rinse our pure gold powder in here over and over with some hot water. Now what I'll do is add some hydrochloric acid. What we'll do is put this up on the heat and boil this for a few minutes in hydrochloric acid. I've had this boiling in hydrochloric acid for about an hour, I guess. And so now what we'll do is go ahead and pour this off into my waste container. Now what I'll do is rinse it multiple times with some hot distilled water. Here's our pure gold bar that we just refined from 116.7 grams of 10K material. And we paid $3,600 for this. I was expecting 48.6 grams. And so let's see what our actual yield is here. We got 47.0 grams of pure gold. We paid $3,600, and that was with gold at 30, and today it's at 30.14. I counted it as 98%, and we've got 47.1 grams, and the value of that at 98% is $4,472. All right, we're gonna call it 44.73. All right, so we got 44.73 minus what I paid, which is $3,600. So we've got a profit in the neighborhood of $870. and I probably spent $50 all in to refine it. So say about $820 profit from buying that 10K gold. And this is our bar. It looks excellent. I'm very pleased with the way this thing came out. Single refining. All right, that'll conclude the video. Thank you for watching.